Hi everyone, this is Tiffany and this is my PechaKucha design activity, which is my last activity for LDT 550 Level 2. I chose to focus this presentation on the modules since that is where I found the greatest value in this semester versus others. The first module that we did was Arduino, and I had heard about Arduino before from the robotics team when I was teaching, but didn't really know a lot. So, to start to get myself familiar, I found the Adafruit website and its tutorials to be the most useful, and I used them to help me start to form an understanding of what exactly Arduino is. Getting the Arduino kit was super fun. As a kid, I was always a tinkerer. There was nothing more exciting than a new box of Legos or Tinker toys or an erector set. So the first thing I did upon getting the kit was taking all the different pieces out, figuring what they were, how they worked together, and what their purposes were. Then I had to learn to write Arduino code. Again, this is where Adafruit came in handy, not only figuring out what the code meant, but how to interpret it, and also how to change it, apply it, and run it to get the Arduino board to do what I wanted. So here's a code from an activity that I did. For my final project, I first experimented with figuring out how to get the Arduino to make lights blink. I would have liked to have done something a little more advanced, but the kit that I got only had the supplies needed to make the LEDs blink. So I experimented with getting them to blink and getting different color lights to light up. For my final project, I did something that I thought would be fun, which is I programmed the Arduino to have Christmas lights blink in time to Christmas music. This mimics the holiday tradition that has become pretty popular here in the US, and while mine was abbreviated, I still got to try it out and I had a lot of fun. The next module was HTML, and this one was a real challenge for me because I knew nothing about it. So I actually did some of the activities from level 1 and level 2 combined to start to get my knowledge up to speed. And I used Codecademy to start to practice how to interpret and write code in both HTML and CSS. Then it came time to build a website. And I chose to use Google Sites as the template because it's really easy to use, but you can also enter code. And here is a picture of my website where I inserted a background picture, and you can see that it has different options for the different parts of the website. What I liked about Google Sites was that it was really easy to embed your code in a box, and then you could preview it and then insert it into the site. So this is an example from of the code that I wrote just to set up the background of my website, so to give a little information about text and changing colors and fonts. This is a bigger picture of some of the features of the website. So the welcome code that I showed in the last slide is visible on the left-hand side. And then I also was able to add some fun features, which I will talk about later on in this presentation. It was really neat to be able to create a site from scratch. So I really enjoyed experimenting from Canvas, so taking an image and changing it around to make it look like what you want without necessarily having to use something like Adobe Illustrator, which we used last semester. So what I did was I took a picture of myself, I cut it down, and I was able to insert text. Then I experimented with dragging and dropping an object. And so I just did something simple to show my Penn State spirit. And you can see the box has different text. And when you go on the website and click on it, you can move it all around the site. And I just thought that that was like a fun little feature to enhance it. I also figured out how to add a clock that told time. So I figured out how to write the code not only to create the image of the clock, but also to make it tick in real time so that when you log into the website, you can automatically know what time it is just by looking at the moving clock. And I wouldn't have to do this, I just thought that it was fun. I also enjoyed learning about accordion menus, so not only just how to insert them, but also how to get the images to show when the accordion was expanded and when it was contracted. And I use this to actually show and spell out my experience with learning HTML, so my challenges and successes. Then it was on to databases, and databases was the most challenging for me, but also something I found extremely useful. Figuring out PHP MyAdmin was a bit of a challenge. I couldn't even log in at first, but once I got in, I I was able to figure out how to start to create some of my own databases. I just experimented with creating a student gradebook. This is something I wish I knew how to do when I was still teaching, because there were so many times when our online gradebook was down and I really needed to access a grade. And I could definitely have seen using this tool as a backup gradebook to be super useful, because it would just be another way to check grades. I also really liked learning SQL, and instead of having to enter every single record manually by typing, you could just do it through a simple function. I found this to be pretty similar to other databases I had worked with, like in Excel, where you can enter functions to get different things to happen, but I really liked it. So of this semester, my favorite things that I learned were Arduino and HTML. Not only were they fun, Arduino, but I could see HTML being super, super useful and applicable in my future. As I'll be starting to apply for jobs next year, I can see myself creating an online portfolio using HTML. So final thoughts for this semester, I found the design activities to be much more practical and useful for what I see myself doing in the future than level 1. I can also see using it for my teaching responsibilities with my students and being able to apply it to my grad assistantship work, especially where it comes with sharing my professional responsibilities. Thanks for a great experience in the LDT program. This is actually my very last class for my LDT minor, and I am actually done with classes now and officially ABD. So thank you for all the fun, all the challenges, and for expanding my knowledge of technology.